Hello, everyone. I'm Sign1News anchor Vanessa Paloma Vajarnik. Here's a quick look at the top trending international news stories making headlines today. If you post an interesting comment about this update, we may add it at the bottom of the screen. The British people continue to share their condolences and memories after the death of Queen Elizabeth II. Mourners have left hundreds of drawings, flowers, cards, and notes outside of Windsor Castle. Millions of messages have also been shared on social media. The Queen died on Thursday at the age of 96. By Friday, King Charles III made his first address as monarch. He arrived at Buckingham Palace, where he was greeted by hundreds of people. In his speech a few hours later, he started off by expressing his sorrow over Thursday's death of his mother, and he pledged to uphold her legacy. He said, "Queen Elizabeth was a life well lived, a promise with destiny kept, and she is mourned most deeply in her passing. That promise of lifelong service I renew to all of you today." King Charles closed his remarks by thanking both his mother and his father, Prince Philip, who died last year. The weekend wrapped up with official proclamations of King Charles III's reign being announced around the United Kingdom. First in London, then in Scotland, Northern Ireland, and Wales.
Together with other members of Her late Majesty's Privy Council and representatives of the realms and
The proclamation was sealed with the words,
citizens of London,
"God save the King."
do now hereby, with one voice.
And here are images of King Charles making his first official declaration acknowledging his new duties as king. After his speech, the king signed an oath to uphold the security of the Church of Scotland. His wife Camilla and his son, Prince William, were there as witnesses. The state funeral for Queen Elizabeth will take place on Monday, September 19th. But her coffin will lie in state in Westminster Hall beginning Wednesday, September 14th, to give the public the opportunity to pay their respects. Tributes to the Queen continue from around the world. All of the country's flags were removed outside of the United Nations headquarters as a symbol of respect to the United Kingdom. The UN flag was also placed at half-staff. In Australia, the Sydney Opera House honored Elizabeth II by displaying a huge image of her on the sails. In Israel, the Tel Aviv City Hall was lit up like the British flag in honor of the Queen. And in sports, the English Premier League announced the postponement of all games this weekend to honor the Queen. The English Football League and the Irish Football Association also postponed this weekend's matches. $12 million. That's the amount of money Japan has set aside for the upcoming state funeral for former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Abe was assassinated on July 8th while speaking at an election rally. Part of the cost will be coming out of a fund reserved for the country's 2022 budget. A larger chunk of money is set aside for security and foreign dignitaries that will be coming to pay their respects. The funeral is scheduled to take place on September 27th. In Pakistan, the rains have stopped, but the waters are not subsiding. Devastating floods have hit 1/3 of the country, killing almost 1,400 people, sweeping away entire villages, roads, bridges, and livestock. Six million people have been displaced by the floods. When the floods hit, residents carried whatever they could save and then began looking for dry ground. And for the many people who have lost everything, there's nothing to do but wait for the waters to recede. Today, September 11th, marks the 21st anniversary of the terrorist attacks in the United States. We want to warn you, some of the images in this story may be disturbing to some viewers. On September 11th, 2001, authorities say 19 terrorists hijacked 4 planes. Two planes slammed into the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in New York City. A third plane hit the Pentagon in Virginia, and the fourth plane crashed into a field in Pennsylvania. Almost 3,000 people were killed during the attacks. Several memorials are taking place across the United States. The mastermind behind the attacks is still awaiting trial 21 years later. Art experts in Italy are in the process of cleaning and restoring a 2,000-year-old Italian mosaic called a key part of Rome's history. It's an enormous mosaic of the mythological figure Medusa. It had been missing for nearly 100 years. According to the FBI, the mosaic was recently discovered in a storage unit in the United States. Also, 58 ancient artifacts valuing nearly $19 million are back in Italy and Egypt. The items were discovered in museums, homes, and galleries across New York City. Authorities say the items were stolen by 4 individuals, and they ended up in the hands of one of the world's largest collectors. That man is now banned for life from acquiring antiquities. And in England, a family renovating their home discovered one of the largest collections of 18th century gold coins ever uncovered in Britain. $260 coins were found under the concrete and floorboards of the house. The coins could be worth $290,000 or the equivalent of 250,000 euro. Wow. And finally, here's an incredible story of survival. A Brazilian fisherman was on a fishing trip when his boat sank off the coast of Brazil. In a panic, he climbed into an empty freezer with no food and no water. He then floated in shark-infested waters for 11 days before being rescued. He was later treated and released from a hospital. The fisherman called his amazing survival a miracle. Wow. Sign1News will be broadcasting international news updates every Sunday. A big thank you to our Sign1News app supporters. You help make this broadcast happen. You can download the Sign1News app by heading to the App Store or Google Play Store on your smartphone. And you can also watch on Apple TV, Amazon, and Roku.